very high tensile strength. The disc is also the largest avascular organ in the body. That is, it has no direct blood supply, and this has important ramifications in that damage to the disc can accumulate over time, and the ability of the disc to repair itself is limited to repair and remodel. Okay, these are a few disorders of the disc. On the left is cervical spine, and if we blow up the picture here, we see that this disc is showing a herniation, also known as prolapse or a slipped disc. Disc herniation occurs when you have tears in the annulus fibrosus that propagate out, and then as a result of that, the nucleus can no longer resist the compression, but instead it follows that path of tear and can leak out into the surrounding areas and impinge on the surrounding nerves, which is what it's showing here. And that of course causes pain and discomfort. Over here on the right are a few different other disorders. This is shown at the lumbar level, but these can occur at the cervical level as well. The one I'd like to emphasize here is disc degeneration, and it's difficult to define. It's been shown to positively correlate with age in several studies. It's a pretty common pathology of the disc. In fact, there are several studies out there that attempt to define degeneration, and one in particular used the definition of an abnormal cell-mediated response to progressive structural failure. So that definition to me kind of implies the existence of at least two factors in disc degeneration: a molecular factor or a cellular factor, and then a mechanical one. So my study examined both types of factors and tested correlations between the two. Okay, on to the biology side of things. All living things are made up of cells, at least one cell, even bacteria and plants. And all cells contain DNA. This is a part of a DNA strand. So a gene is nothing more than a certain section of a linear DNA molecule that exists in all the cells in your body. So for example, this might, just for the purposes of illustration, this might be one gene, even though in reality genes are they span a lot more of the DNA than just about 10 base pairs or so. But the idea here is that it's a section of DNA, and the specific sequence of these colored guys, these are base pairs in the center of the DNA. The specific sequence of these along the gene determine the characteristics of the gene's final product, which in most cases is a protein. All right, so gene produces protein most of the time. So differences in this sequence give rise to different proteins that have different functions. Every cell in your body, except for your sex cells, sperm or egg, contain the same set of DNA. The sex cells contain half the amount. But what distinguishes a liver cell from a brain cell, from a skin cell, from a cell in the disc, are differences in their gene expression. Gene expression is the term used to describe going from DNA to a functional product like protein. One way to think about it is that if you have a liver cell and a brain cell, they both have the same DNA. The liver cell may have genes A and B turned on and genes C and D turned off, whereas the opposite may be true in the brain cell. So those differences produce different types of proteins, and the cells have different functions. But going from DNA to protein doesn't occur in a single step. There are multiple steps involved. And the central dogma of molecular biology describes this flow of information from DNA to protein. This is a picture of a general animal cell. with most of the subcellular organelles not pictured, but the key players are shown. So this shows that the middleman between DNA and protein is RNA, ribonucleic acid, and specifically a type of RNA called mRNA, or messenger RNA, which is an appropriate name because it does just that. It serves as a messenger from DNA to protein. The process of going from DNA to RNA is referred to as transcription, and then RNA to protein or polypeptide is translation. Polypeptide is like a precursor to a protein. The ribosome is the organelle that carries out translation, and I think that's all I want to say there. Oh, one more thing. There are several enzymes involved in these various processes, and there's one enzyme in particular discovered in the 70s, won a Nobel Prize. It's the same enzyme observed in the HIV virus. It can do something pretty cool. It can go in reverse. It can reverse transcribe a strand of messenger RNA into a single strand of DNA, and that enzyme is called reverse transcriptase. And it's relevant to the methods used for the gene expression part of this study. Okay, finally, this is the last introductory slide. Your body doesn't consist of just cells stacked next to one another. In between neighboring cells exists an extracellular matrix. Again, this is a general animal cell. At the bottom of the screen is the interior of the cell, known as the cytoplasm. At the top is the exterior of the cell, called the extracellular matrix. And these gray and yellow guys in the middle, that's the lipid bilayer that forms the plasma membrane of the cell. The exact composition and structure of the matrix varies from tissue to tissue a little, but this slide shows a few of the key players. First is collagen. It's cut off, but there's an arrow here going to these purple guys. Those are collagen fibers. Collagen is the most abundant protein in your body. It makes up a large percentage of the extracellular matrix. And again, it's that main ingredient in the annulus that helps resist tension. So that's collagen. Proteoglycans, these are one of the main ingredients in the nucleus pulposus that they consist